This isn't clickbait. I really did make this epic diorama, including the miniatures, for less than £5. I've mentioned in my videos before that I like to keep costs down and get a bit of inspiration. I like to fertile about in craft stores and art supply stores, especially in the discount bins. This latest haul was from a card making shop. Great fun. And as ever, I made use of the bits and pieces I've got lying around, like baking soda, different size cork pieces, and some weird sponge moss lettuce. It's up to you, use your imagination. Talking of imagination, I like to have an idea fixed in my head before I go into these projects. It just helps keep me on track and stops me getting too distracted. In this case, I imagined a Space Marine leader striking out through the forest of the Death World. As he approaches an outcrop, he hears a rustling and then is set upon immediately by an orc boy leaping out of the trees, hungry for blood. And from that gives me all the information I need to be able to build what I'm going to build. So this next bit's a lot of working stuff out, putting things in different places, moving stuff around, just sort of making it up really, and gradually working your way towards the idea that's stuck in your head. Use a hobby saw to neaten up the edges, and tearing to roughen them back up. Once you've got the pieces that you think you need, you just need to assemble them, and then it's just down to those final little bits of neatening up. Stick it all back together, maybe add some larger pieces to break it up a little bit, and there you go. After our poor orc boy's uncomfortable episode, we used wire to pin him, just so we can mock it up and see what it's looking like. I think we're getting somewhere. This next bit's a lot of fun. You take some armature wire and you just start twisting two pieces of wire together, making different branch shapes, adding bits and pieces, just overlapping them over the top of one another, until you've got something that vaguely looks tree-like. Back to your diorama, mock it up, yeah, it's looking alright. Then start twisting in your leaves, same effort. I wanted to put a leaf on the end of each branch because that seems about right. And this is what we ended up with. Again, we're really getting somewhere now. Remember that teasel? Yeah, when you tear them apart, they look like a weird predatory alien plant thing. Cool. Add a couple more silk flowers to just break it up a little bit, and there you go. Well, that took about an hour and a half. Now it's time to leave it to dry overnight, and then get to painting. Next up, we mix our paints. This little thing's an Intel paint mixer, cost me 25 quid. Absolute bargain. You can check out the video just up there. Now it's time to grab the airbrush. If there's one job airbrushes were born to do, it's paint terrain. You can obviously use a brush for any of this, it just takes a bit longer. So I start painting by layering down a base colour. It doesn't really matter too much, as this is basically just a prime, but I went with a dark red to add some interest and contrast to those greens. I want an overall warm tone to the piece, and that'll help with that. Next up we lay a dark, foresty green. In this case I'm using Golden Colours Phthalo Green over basically everything other than the very darkest shadows. Then we move up, getting progressively brighter each time. The idea is to create a sort of a dappled forest floor look here. I'm trying to focus on those areas where they would be exposed to maybe the gaps in the trees, so maybe the tops of rocks or the patches of grass that I sprinkled down earlier on. Like I say, the point, you don't have to be too serious with this, you just want to lay down a few different shades just to break it up a little bit. And finally, over those bits where you sprayed the lighter green, go back in with the very brightest green, just to really make them pop. And then that's basically it. You've got a sort of a dappled forest floor look, and this is sort of going in the direction we wanted to. But the next bit is really cool, and definitely my favourite part of the job. So we're going in with our airbrush with a white paint, and we're just picking out all of those flowers. We want to cover them basically completely, but maybe leaving the very tips to be a little bit darker, which will help with the glow effect we're going to go for later. The reason we're doing this is it'll help brighten up anything we put on top of it, which will really help sell the effect in the next bit. So we go in with magenta ink, coat every single one of those flowers, and then get progressively lighter and lighter as we get to the middle, before finally ending in with an almost pure white right in the centre, which just really sells that glowing effect. Now this next bit wasn't part of the plan, but it didn't quite look right, so I decided to stipple on some hobcrot hide just over the top, just to break it up a little bit more. I sort of thought it looked a bit more like lichen, so I was pretty pleased with the end result. Then it's a case of placing our models in, double checking we're happy with everything, and yeah, I am. So let's sit back and enjoy the final result. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with this. If you make something similar, or you've enjoyed the video and want to let me know why, let me know down in the comments below. I really appreciate it. I hope you liked that. This was my October project. I'll probably put it on the shelf now for a couple of weeks and then might go back and titivate it a little bit later, but we'll see what happens. Until next time, catch you later.